I'd love to introduce Sayer G. He is the founder of greenmedinfo.com and launched in 2008 in order to provide the world an open access, evidence-based resource supporting natural and integrative modalities. It's recognized as one of the most frequently trafficked and most widely referenced health resource of its kind. Sayer, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Wendy. Excited to be on with you.
So what can, in your own words, what can we come to expect from an online summit like the Medicinal Supplements Summit?
Well, first of all, it's so much in line with what the world needs most right now, which is an awareness that they can take control of their health using natural substances. For me, it's been a lifelong experience of healing myself when I was like in a really bad place, dependent on pharmaceutical drugs and surgeries, to kind of keep my body together, to come to realize that I had everything I needed provided by nature. And for me, it became even more of a passion when I realized that there was all this research that had been actually funded by taxpayers like you, I, our listeners, on the National Library of Medicine, that has support for everything we're kind of told isn't true, which is that there are alternatives to pharmaceuticals and that, you can use foods to affect even better outcomes. And so when I found that, I not only was like so grateful for my own life, but then I was like, I have to share this. So for 10 years, basically, I spent thousands of hours indexing the research, putting it up online. And now, it's just becoming clear that because of events like this, people are like waking up. And it's just such a positive thing that you're doing.
It's so important for people to take control of their own health and take responsibility for their health because no one's going to care as much as the listeners do about your own health and your own body. And a very common question people have surrounding supplements is, can they get all their nutrition from food? What is your opinion?
Wow, that's like a very important question. I think that if we look at it just from the bare bones like perspective of the mineral content in our soil, I believe there was a discussion in the U.S. Congress in the 30s about how the soil had been so depleted that they needed to do something to supplement the diet of the population because clearly they're not going to get it in their food if it's grown in this depleted soil. So just from the perspective of soil quality, I mean, it's already like, what is this? How many years now? It's like almost 90 years later, and we're still arguing about whether or not supplements are important or we should have access to them. I mean, I just got back from Europe, and good luck finding like a store that even has supplements because there is a global agenda. I'm part of the National Health Federation, and we speak at the Codex Alimentarius that the World Trade Organization puts together. And it's just this battle constantly to get them to define vitamins as natural and good for you and that you have access to them, you should have access to them. And then they're trying to like push pharmaceuticals and additives into the food. And so globally, there's this sense that, this information isn't really getting out there. People are like trying to figure out, are supplements safe? And yet one of the primary causes of death, in this country is correctly prescribed medication. So I think that right now we're sort of coming to the point, thanks to the internet, where people clearly see that it's the food, it's the supplements that are going to really give us the health and well-being we're looking for, and not to mention financial stability, because you can go bankrupt when you're diagnosed with a condition and end up on these drugs and the sort of medical merry-go-round that follows. So, it's about health freedom. It's about just, knowing that your grandma was right, and it's about the food that you're eating. And yes, I think absolutely we need supplements to counteract deficiencies and even toxic exposures, which we're kind of assaulted by today.
Yeah, and it's a shame. Even if you eat a perfect organic diet, you can't get everything you need from food. Even the organic farms have these really intensive farming practices.
This is a fact that I don't think most people truly understand the importance of because the USDA certified organic standards today allow for things like factory farmed animal waste as manure. So, we think organic is this amazing thing, but it's not biodynamic, it's not permaculture, it's not really a positive definition in the sense of all this incredible extra nutrition you're getting. It's a negative one, meaning they don't explicitly poison it on the outside. They just, basically allow it to go through with some chemicals added, but it's not really what we think. We need to have food that is infused with nutrients. And, that's why a lot of people use supplements, because they can actually counteract that.
Why do you think it's important to learn about proper supplementation and customize supplements to one's own body?
It's a good question. I mean, I think that one of the primary challenges in the natural or nutraceutical field is that, yes, we have in a way copied a lot of the allopathic model, the concept that we all might need a magnesium or a type of vitamin D or omega-3 fatty acid generically is probably almost true, but technically not really, meaning, we don't want to just suppress symptoms, with supplements like drugs would do. We want to find what we really need, personally. And that's a process that can take time. And I wouldn't necessarily advocate people go through tens of thousands of dollars of testing either. I think that we have to get in touch with our bodies. So we're using our intuition as a gauge, but we can also use research, to, like, say you have a health condition. We have 3,100 ailments on Green Med Info indexed. All the solutions we found are technically supplements or foods. So you can, look at the research and find alternatives to even over-the-counter drugs that we don't even think twice about, to heal yourself. Like recently I was having like this sort of it seemed like a cold sore, but I don't think it was. It was like an allergy. And it was just honey. After all these things I tried, I just put some honey on it. And the next day it was healed. And it took me like weeks to realize this honey that I use anyway was really the solution I needed. So
what did you talk about on the Medicinal Supplements Summit?
Well, we talked about heart disease and the ways that we can use supplements and nutrition to really disabuse ourselves of this concept that, high cholesterol, for one, is the cause of heart disease. It's more complex than that, or that somehow, statins are going to be the solution, when research has already been performed showing natural substances like red yeast rice, polycosnol, are even superior to blockbuster statin drugs. So, it was really kind of fun to get into the topic, because it's first of all so important. I mean, everyone at some point is going to be affected by the epidemic of heart disease. But how many people know that there's really basic things like eating high quality dark chocolate that could literally be life-saving?
Yeah, I eat it every day to save my life, for sure.
I mean, I think there are a lot of benefits to chocolate, that's for sure.
And I love that you came and talked about this topic on the summit, because it's the number one killer of people in the United States, and definitely the number one killer of most countries around the world. And people need natural solutions. They need to rethink statins and rethink their typical medical advice.
Absolutely. So when you look at the relationship between natural supplements and synthetic, pharmaceuticals, the difference obviously is that there isn't a disease on the planet caused by a lack of a chemical. And that's technically all pharmaceuticals are, because they need patent exclusivity. So if they do find a natural compound that works, they alter it slightly so they get a patent. And yet all the diseases that we know of in some way have either a nutritional deficiency that contributes to it, or there's a toxic chemical that the body needs to detoxify from. And so if that's the case, really natural substances are technically the basis for real medicine. It's not like they're an alternative. Quite the contrary. For me, this is the future of medicine, and it's also obviously the oldest medicine on the planet. So I think people are starting to come online with understanding that difference.
Well, Sarah, thank you so much for your contribution to the Medicinal Supplements Summit. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you. It's an honor to be part of it.